This crooked game of power politics here in America, the Negro, namely the race problem, integration, civil rights issue, are all nothing but tools used by the whites who call themselves liberals against another group of whites who call themselves conservatives, either to get into power or to retain power. Among whites here in America, the political teams are no longer divided into Democrats and Republicans. The whites who are now struggling for control of the American political throne are divided into liberal and conservative camps. The white liberals from both parties cross party lines to work together toward the same goal, and white conservatives from both parties do likewise. The white liberal differs from the white conservative only in one way. The liberal is more deceitful, more hypocritical than the conservative. Both want power, but the white liberal is the one who has perfected the art of posing as the Negro's friend and benefactor. And by winning the friendship and support of the Negro, the white liberal is able to use the Negro as a pawn or a weapon in this political football game that is constantly raging between the white liberals and the white conservatives. The American Negro is nothing but a political football, and the white liberals control this ball through tricks or tokenism, false promises of integration and civil rights. In this game of deceiving and using the American Negro, the white liberals have complete cooperation of the Negro civil rights leaders, who sell our people out for a few crumbs of token recognition, token gains, token progress. In the New York Tribune, in an editorial dated February the 5th, 1960, they pointed out that out of 11 million qualified Negro voters, only 2,700,000 actually take time to vote. This means that, roughly speaking, only 3 million out of the 11 million Negroes who are qualified to vote take an active part, and the remaining 8 million remain voluntarily inactive. And yet it is this small minority, the 3 million Negro voters, who help determine who will be the next president. If who will be the next president can be influenced by 3 million Negro voters, it is easy to see why the presidential candidates of both political parties put on such a false show with the Civil Rights Bill and promises of integration. They must impress the 3 million voting Negroes who are the actual integration seekers. And if so much fuss is made over these 3 million integration seekers, what would the presidential candidates have to do to appease the 8 million non-voting Negroes if they ever decided to become politically active? They hold the balance of power. Who are the 8 million non-voting Negroes? What do they want? And why don't they vote? The 3 million Negro voters are the so-called middle-class Negroes, or high-class Negroes, or uppity Negroes, who are referred to by the late Howard University sociology professor E. Franklin Frazier as the black bourgeoisie, who have been educated to think as patriotic individualists with no racial pride whatsoever, who believe in and look forward to the future integrated, intermarried society that is constantly being promised to them by the Negro politicians.
Because when you say coming out of
this
unitary
integration, 3 million minority remain an active part of the white-controlled political parties. But it must never be overlooked that these 3 million Negro integration seekers are only a small minority of the 11 million qualified Negro voters. The 8 million non-voting Negroes are the majority, the downtrodden black masses. They have refused to vote. They've refused to take a part in politics because they reject the Uncle Tom approach of the clergy politician leadership that has been handpicked for the so-called Negroes by the white man himself. This clergy politician leadership does not speak for the Negro majority. They don't speak for the black masses. They speak for the black bourgeoisie, the brainwashed, white-minded, middle-class minority, who, because they are ashamed of their race, because they are ashamed of being black and don't want to be identified with black, they're seeking to lose this black identity by mixing and mingling and intermarrying and integrating with the white society. The race problem cannot be solved by listening to the white-minded, brainwashed minority. The white man must try to learn what the black majority wants. The president would be wise to try and learn what the black masses want. If the 3 million middle-class Negroes are casting their ballots for integration and intermarriage, What do the non-voting black masses who are in the majority want? Find out what the black masses want, and then perhaps America's grave race problem can be solved.
And that should be studied. That what Malcolm X just said there shouldn't be looked at lightly. But anyway, man, listen, it's been a minute since I've been able to get back in this studio and just kind of be back in here to really work. My apologies to y'all. You know what I mean? I haven't been pumping out content like I have been because I had to do some adult things. You know what I mean? I had to learn, take some classes and get myself together and all that. But we are here now. What I want to talk about tonight is this Alec Murdaugh thing right here. Now we're gonna cover this here intensely. And I'm interested in what y'all think, because in case you don't know, Alec Murdaugh, who was convicted of unaliving his son and wife, that murder conviction has been overturned by the South Carolina Supreme Court. Okay. And it's like, so you can feel how you want to feel. For me, it's not a thing about, do I like Alec? Do I not like Alec? Or do I think he's guilty? Or do I not think he's guilty? I'm thankful that we have one of the greatest court systems in the land. And if you got money, okay, then it works even better for you. Okay. And so in this case, you saw that on display right here. This case was overturned in rapid time. But I was telling people this then, not trying to be facetious or anything, but I was just looking at what I was seeing. Because, I mean, again, you can feel how you want to feel about Alec Murdaugh. There's a lot of things about that trial that I had a problem with. Okay. One being that they put too much emphasis on the financial crimes, okay? And it became about the financial crimes. And so people were easily saying, oh, well, he did this because of that. And I think it was more complex than that. And the chances of them convicting him, I'm going to go ahead and stake mine right now. The chances of them convicting him after this being overturned, I don't think they have a chance of convicting him. Now, a lot of you are probably saying, well, and in case you didn't know, he was convicted of financial crimes, about $12 million worth of financial crimes on a federal, on some federal, and I think on some state charges. So he's not coming home, okay? He's got, I think, like 40 years plus or something like that on those charges. So it's not like he's coming home or he's home right now, okay? But I think this is more of, if you're not here from South Carolina, you don't understand how families work. This is a proud family right here. And this is more about honor and trying to clear the family name than anything. Do I think Alec killed his wife and his son? I don't think so. I mean, I'll go ahead and say that now. You know, and I know some of you feel like, oh, the evidence says this and evidence says that. Well, we stand here now where he's home. He's not home, but that charge has been overturned. And let me find where Dick Harpootlian was talking at earlier. Put this article up right here and share this here with you guys. This is some of the stuff that's floating around right now out there on the internets. And here we go. How Paul testified from the grave to help convict his father. This was just released actually May 13th. And it probably worked better if I share it with you all, right? So let me share it with you all right here. It's actually on the screen right here. So I can see it here. Boom, there it is. All right, let me make it big so I can read it. I think I better read from here, from the actual document. But no, I don't think Alec. I don't think he did it. All right. Uh, yeah, he had financial problems. He had all of this other stuff going on, but I don't think that he was that far gone where he did that to his wife and his child. Now, I don't think his family thinks that either. Have you heard anything? Have any of you heard anything where he said, or somebody said that his family believes that he's guilty of unaliving these people? No, you haven't seen that. You haven't seen anything where his sons come out and said anything about that. And that's where we stand right now. Is where we stand is Alec Murdaugh is going to beat this charge outright. Point blank, period. If you disagree, get in the comment section and tell me why you disagree. Don't tell me because what we seen, the evidence, obviously that didn't stick. And I mean, Becky Hill didn't help either. Putting the cart before the horse, opening her mouth where she shouldn't open her mouth. But that's find a crack in it, and he exploited it. Now, I also want to talk about that Julio Fulio trial that I think people should be tuned in on. If you got a young son who is into the streets, into especially drill rap, if you know anything about that, or just ask him, hey, do you know anything about Julio Fulio? What do you think about the the uh, the, uh, the verdict in that trial? And for those of you who don't know who Julio Fulio was a rapper from based out of Jacksonville, Florida. Florida. He was gunned down a little over a year ago out in Tampa, the Tampa Orlando area, where he was celebrating his birthday, and he was tracked down by his ops, his oppositions, a rival gang, and he was murdered viciously in the parking lot of a motel. And the three people, it was four people. It was a girl, but she was convicted earlier. She was found guilty earlier. But the three guys involved in this event were convicted this past yesterday, I think, and they all received life sentences, life without parole down in Florida. They were on the death penalty was on the table, and the prosecution was pushing for it. And I think it's a fascinating trial. The story behind it is more fascinating than the trial, if you ask me. You should. The backstory is just rich because there's a lot of things that went on in this that it plays it does not play a part in court. Again, those guys were convicted of first-degree murder of Charles Jones, aka Julio Fulio, and they escaped the death penalty. And what was crazy is watching those guys. Some of them decided to testify in the death penalty phase, and it's crazy to me that somebody who was a killer just a few months ago is now begging for their life, and they it's just it's beyond me how that works out. And so a lot of people should watch that trial. Now, I was thinking that they were going to get the death penalty because they murdered him down in a high tourist area down near Disney, and in that area down there. And if you know anything about Florida, um, it's certain areas in Florida where they prosecute crimes more harshly, more severely than in other places. And it's for the purpose of deterring the next fool from coming down. Thing. But that case is crazy, man. And it's a lesson in surveillance, in the fact that we are in a surveillance state. Okay. Like they literally had evidence from when them guys left the location they left with the guns all the way up until the time they were able to piece together a timeline just through uh, electronic devices, tracking devices, and other different methods, cameras, and all these other different things. They were able to put this case together and convict these guys. And then after they were convicted, after they then took these people, you know, in this court and cost this court and these people all this money on a trial, they decided that now it's time to beg for our lives and claim that they're remorseful. They've changed, and I guess when that needle is the option, I guess you'll say anything, and they did, and apparently it worked because it saved their lives. Um, I think one of the compelling testimonies was the warden, and what he was describing was what the warden to me was. What's up, Buzz? Bugs. The warden was describing slavery, right? And for those of you who don't know, and those of you who like to wrongly say that slavery has been abolished, yes, it's been abolished, except for, let me pull that up so I can read that on air, and so you can understand why the warden was talking about, listen, we can get this guy in there, and basically he'll be a slave for the rest of his life working for the state. And it'd be a waste. The warden was basically saying it'd be a waste to execute him when you got these three fine young specimens, these young bucks that we could work, you know what I mean, for until forever. And yeah, that's what happened in that case, where the warden stepped in and was like, no, don't execute them, please don't kill them, save them. And that's what was done. In the case of Julio, again, that case is something I would highly recommend you sharing with your young family members who think that the streets are the way to go and all that other good stuff. Because all that street stuff is good until you hit that courtroom. The silence of the courtroom has a way of just cutting through all of that foolishness. Like you immediately realize how stupid you were and the decisions you were making, how bad they were when you hear the silence of that courtroom. You know what I mean? And I guess the question would be, how do we stop these kids from reaching the courtroom? Now, the other day, I was a part of. I went down and did some interviews down in Andrews, South Carolina, at Rosemary Middle School that I attended. Not that location, but the school itself. Yeah, and I was invited down there by Mr. Gary, Mr. Gary, who is the director over at the YMCA down in Andrews, South Carolina. And they have a program that is going to be coming to um, an end here soon. And so he invited me in to do some interviews. And the program is called, give me a second. Of course, this computer. I don't know what's going on right now. Let's see. Nothing's working. I said nothing's responded. Nothing's responded. And the one thing, this Don Julio got my head hot. That light don't help. Oh my goodness, what's going on? Trip. Trip. All right, I gotta turn this computer off. Shut down. Come on, shut it down.
Termites don't need an invitation. In South Carolina, the pressure is real. Warm weather, moisture, crawl spaces, wood-to-ground contact. That's the perfect setup for termite activity. By the time you see the damage, they may have been there for months or years. Softwood, mud tubes, hollow spots, hidden damage. Don't wait until the repair bill tells the story. Schedule a termite inspection today. Palmetto Pest Control, LLC. Veteran-owned, local, certified. Protect the structure. Protect the investment. Visit www.bedbugheatkill.com.